What does it mean to be a man? What does it mean to be a woman? Seeing the reflections around me, and something that always felt very confusing. I witnessed a lot of pain and a lot of separation. In the core of my being, I felt something was really wrong. There was no validation for that feeling. And so, like many of us, when I hit my sexual awakening in the early teens, I felt like I was met with a lot of non-information, a lot of whispering, a lot of secrecy, a lot of shame, a lot of guilt, all the kinds of things that most of us are met with in our teens. And then moving through into more and more experiences, I was fortunate enough to create certain people in my life. One was an uncle who is half Native American, who took me out to the desert, which is how I got my nickname Des. Mm-hmm. And in that experience is when I had my first, what I felt was earth connection and God connection. And that started a whole series of events that were way bigger than, feeling that space that was way bigger than the reality I was coming from. Mm-hmm. So what happened was a series of different situations and circumstances and teachers came into my life. Probably the biggest teacher was Earth itself, and moving to Hawaii in my 20s and living a very alternative lifestyle off the grid, paddling canoe in the ocean, hands in the dirt every day, growing my own food, that kind of thing. And that was a very powerful experience. And then the books that fell into my hands and the experiences that happened interacting with others turned into a very shamanic path. And learning a lot about the emotional body and how that relates to the heart and the mind and the physical body. And one thing led to another, all the way to a re-entry back into the culture where I came back from Hawaii and then founded with a partner a very successful supplement company called Pure Planet that was around for a long time, spirulina and green foods. And then wanting to integrate in create a healthy prototype for companies and corporations and workplaces. And so that happened for about 10 years. Sold that company and moved back into the teaching that I was doing before, which has to do with interpersonal relationships, sacred sexuality, and shamanistic practices of awakening and vibrating and using the emotional body for manifestation. How do I reclaim my power? How do I own the core of my being even more and more and more? And what are the pieces and fragments that I can pull back to myself that were pushed away or disowned or that I was never conscious of? So a lot of what this work is about is about information we never really got when we were young men and young women. What does it mean to be sexual? What does it mean to be a sacred sexual human being? And so what happens for many of us now as we step into our conscious awareness is we go back and we reparent ourselves. We're going back to that place when we were conceived, and we're recreating the events and the feelings and the situations and circumstances that we should have had in the womb that we were not met with neurologically, that we should have had in our birth. What was our birth experience? What was our experience as a baby and a toddler? Where were we met neurologically and where were we not? And our souls each have their own specific special journey. And in my exploration, what I've been realizing and working with thousands of people, including myself, is that it's absolutely perfect. What we're moving into and how we're moving into our presence and our consciousness is such an amazing gift to really claim our history, herstory, and claim our paths and come into our power. And to what does it take to come deeper into our power? And so we're pulling all these pieces in and we're giving ourselves what we really need to be all the way connected with divinity here on earth.
And really the simplest key to that is what we went over when we initially sat down, and that was presence. Because in presence, the natural unraveling, the natural returning to our past and what we've been told and what we've experienced naturally unfolds. It's such a simple, simple key. And I can't express enough how much when you begin at this moment feeling your feet, and feeling your body, and feeling your belly, and taking that in fully at every moment possible, how much just that simplicity changes everything.
So as we bring in conscious awareness and we set our intention and we start asking to step into our power and reclaim ourselves, the situations and circumstances in our lives start to align. And that's where magic starts to happen, where desire and intention start manifesting the situations and circumstances in our lives. And how open and present are we to receive each moment, each precious moment, and everything that happens so that we can reawaken and step into our power.